It's here. The talk is almost over. We're about 31 hours away from the Supreme Novices Hurdle. The roar will go up and Cheltenham 2023 will start. And what a week we have laid out ahead of us. Every championship race has a different conundrum. Could we see the second coming in the Champion Hurdle tomorrow? The Champion Chase is absolutely wide open with three vying for the crown at the top of the betting. The Stayers Hurdle is an Irish raid. And the Gold Cup, potentially one of the most exciting horses we've seen for years in one of the hottest Gold Cup fields we've seen for years as well. But that's not all we've got to get excited about, of course. Shishkin is back to his very best. There's the Mares Hurdle, one of the best races of the week. Could Mullins have a Triumph Tricast? We've got exciting novices, John Bon, El Fabiolo, Impere Pass, a facile Vega retrieval mission, Jerry Colomb, Mighty Potter, you name it. We've got it. 9 handicaps as well to get stuck into, and cross country's Fox Hunters. What more do you want for a week of National Hunt racing? It's enough to get even the most ardent of flat fans excited about what we've got over the next 4 days. And we're going to be with you every night from 6:30 through till 7:30. My name is Ross Brierley. As ever, this is live and interactive, and the chat is already starting to hot up. So get those thoughts, feelings, selections, multiples, play spots, lays, whatever you want to get involved with, put them in the chat and we will try and read them out. We've been talking about this for weeks and weeks, but there's nothing like seeing those final decks to really start to crystallise your thoughts. And we're going to be hearing from a top-class team of pundits, of course, but not in the studio. Unfortunately, I'm going to enjoy the greatest show on turf, or AstroTurf in this case, on my own. As Paul Kealy's gone to Cheltenham, but don't worry, we have replaced him with something just as lively. And there we go. I think that's quite nice. If she'd won the Champion Hurdle, I think Honeysuckle would have got a statue made for her. But we're way ahead of her, so can't wait to hear your thoughts tonight. Good stuff. Now, as I said, Paul Kealy has gone to Cheltenham. He's been let out of the studio, let out of London, and he's as close to a webcam as I've ever seen a man. Good evening to you, Paul Kealy.
Move back a bit.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah. Bit of rain this morning, very, very strong dry wind, and then it lashed down in a couple of really strong showers. So I think it's going to be pretty soft tomorrow.
Yeah, it is indeed. Now, we haven't heard many of your opinions on the Cheltenham Festival, Keels. As far as I'm aware, you've been given about a video morning, noon, night, newspapers, pull-outs. I got a telegram the other day, and I think it was from you tipping one up in the Ultima. So I can't wait to hear what you finally come down on for the first day.
Mate, you broke up a little bit there, mate. I didn't quite get you.
No, I can tell you it was the greatest line of broadcasting you'll ever hear. So I tell you what, never mind. We'll move on from you. Where's Paul? Where's Paul Kealy? Well, we always know where Tom Segal is. He's Mr. Reliable himself. And a good evening to you, Tom, live from Segal Towers.
Yeah, have we done a Gary Lineker on you, Ross? And no one's bothered to come in. We're all in solidarity, not coming in to see you. How about that?
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate it. There'll be absolutely no impartiality on the show tonight, Tom. I know that for a fact, and I know that if, like you said just before the show, if I did get fired, I think you'd come into the studio actually just to annoy me.
Yeah, if Sam was doing it, I'd be in like a shot. Yeah, for sure.
You appear to have upgraded to a better webcam for Cheltenham 2023 as well, Tom. You're looking resplendent.
Well, I'm not sure it's exactly the same one. I'm just actually comb my hair and put a jumper shirt on. So maybe I'm just thought, Cheltenham, here we come. Let's make an effort.
No, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Is that you giving us a clue there, Ross?
Yes, play slay of the week. David Stevens is our choral representative tonight. David, are you ready? Are you raring to go?
Only 369 days until the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. Look, we all go on about the build-up for the Cheltenham Festival, but it's just worth reiterating. 28 races at last year's Cheltenham Festival are all in the top 35 betting races of 2022. That's our combined retail and shop figures. It is just a massive deal. Last year, the Albert Bartlett was the 4th highest turnover race of the year. The Hunter Chase was number 8. I mean, it's a big 3 days, but then Friday takes it up another level again. whatever we think about the build-up to the Cheltenham Festival, whatever we think, does it dominate to an unhealthy degree? It is a hit with punters like no other meeting. It is 4 days that I think we can all get excited about now. And some of the races tomorrow, I mean, the Mayor's Hurdle, again, whatever you think about the wrongs and rights of having these Mayor's races, it is one hell of a Mayor's Hurdle. So I expect that to feature very highly when we put together this year's list. But yeah, it's nearly here. The time for talking is nearly stopped. We've unpacked the kit bag. We're all ready to go for the week.
Lovely stuff. And I would like to shout out to people on the chat there who I think they've caught me out here, that this is pre-recorded because I said it was 31 hours. The problem is I've been looking at Wednesday's racing and I've added up what day it is and when the first race starts. It's not 31 hours to the Supreme Novices Hurdle, is it? It's 31 hours to the Ballymore, isn't it? Someone help me out here. It's a good job I'm not a...
Definitely more than that, isn't it?
I don't know. I've completely lost track. It's tomorrow at 1:30. Tuesday, that's it. Can we get a paper? Look, it's not pre-recorded. Oh, that's Monday's paper right there. There you go. Oh, I feel like I'm in Back to the Future now. Anyway, we'll be getting a price boost from you in a second, David Stevens. But as I said, this is brought to you by the Racing Post all week. So get involved with this Members Club offer. Go. We'll get involved with that then, and get involved with what have you got up your sleeve in terms of price boost-wise, David?
Yeah, well, obviously, first race of the festival, we've got to go for something in the Supreme, and it is Facile Vega, a horse I'm sure we're going to talk about. Are we with him? Are we against him? Well, the odds compilers are against him. 11-4 now for a maximum of 20 quid for the duration of what I can assure people is an absolutely live show, because we wouldn't have kept that bit in with Kealy saying he couldn't hear you if it hadn't have been live. We'd have cut that completely.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd have cut most of it, I imagine. But let's move on then, because that is the prize boost for tomorrow. Facile Vega to win the Supreme Novices Hurdle, and let's see what Facile Vega has to beat, of course, into tomorrow's opener. The prices have been all over the shop, of course, since Facile Vega won the bumper ahead of tomorrow. We've had 6-1. We've had odds on. We've got 9-4 right now. But 11-4 for that price boost. But it's 4-1 Marine Nationale, 9-2 Ilite Tomp, 10-1 Timoris. In the pocket is in at 11-1. High definition at 14s. Diverge is 14s. Rare edition is 22-1. And then other horses in with a chance. Chasing Fire, Dr. Bravo's in there as well. Dark Raven, Strong Leader, Fenner Cross. And the outsider a lot is Palace Boy for the Supreme Novices Hurdle 2023. 14 of them currently going to post. In the past couple of seasons, it's been pretty much a race between two, maybe three horses at best. Of course, a very impressive winner in the shape of Constitution Hill last year. But Tom, I'm going to come to you first for this Supreme Novices Hurdle preview, because in terms of the Cheltenham races, it's nice to have a look at a historical benchmark, I think, in terms of what it takes to win these races. And the speed figures I use, last year there's about 2, maybe 3 horses who had met the level that a normal Supreme winner has to come into this race to figure. This year I've got about 7, maybe 8 on the list. It looks a red-hot race.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got loads there you can fancy. I mean, interesting, isn't it? Last year, Constitution Hill was joint favourite, 9-4 joint favourite with Dysart Dynamo to win this race. Dysart Dynamo now, if you go on a year, he'd be 100-1 if he was racing against Constitution Hill. It just shows the fact, the Willie Mullins factor people have coming into Cheltenham every year. The bookmakers, the punters lump onto him. The bookmakers are scared of him. Hence, we've got a horse here, Facile Vega, that came last in his warm-up race as a 9-4 favourite. I know we can get the 11-4 with the wonderful boost that Coral just gave, but still, to me, it's just a race you have to have a bet in, because he's completely the wrong price for me. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get how a horse that was so lamentable in his trial can be such a short price for such a good competitive race. So it makes it a really interesting betting race. I know Keels has tried to smash a couple about the park. I actually think his other runner, Ilete Tom, is just clearly the standout on figures and on form in this race, on what he did at the Dublin Racing Festival. I think people have a negative against him because of his 4-year-old career, where he was sort of beaten a few times in 4-year-old races, but he was just totally different last time in a strongly run race. He jumped better, he travelled better. Everything was right about his performance. I just thought he was the obvious won at around 5-1 in this race, simply because he had the best form and the best time. So for me, it was all about Il Était Temps, but that you could make a case for loads. Marine Nationale looked good in the Royal Bond. Tamura's form in the Tolworth is good. In the Pocket, why run here if you didn't think you could overturn the form with Il Était Temps? High Definition was a Group 1 flat horse. Diverge was rated 90 on the flat in France, won by 22 lengths. Rare Edition ran in the Kempton race and was similar time to, well, a little bit slower than Constitution Hill, but faster than Epitante. Loads you can make a case for. I ended up on Il Était Temps, but I think there's, it's just a good race to have a bet in, because Facile Vega, for me, is just way too short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 9-4 Facile Vega. I mean, there's plenty against him as well. I mean, I know you're not a stats and trends man necessarily, Tom, and I kind of pick and choose him a little bit. But Champagne Fever's the only bumper horse to double up in the last 30 years. Appreciate's the only horse to win that Christmas Leopardstown race and then win the Supreme as well. And in the last 25 years, only 3 horses have come into this and won this off the back of a defeat. And only LeBake was the one who came into it off the back of an unplaced run as well. So, I mean, and also, the main thing I want to ask you, Keels, as well, is he's clearly a very good horse, Facile Vega. But was that bumper last year one of the worst ones we've seen in quite a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's the worst for at least 10 years, isn't it? I mean, in terms of subsequent winners over hurdles the next season and at a level, it's definitely one of the worst, because apart from Facile Vega, every other horse that's tried graded company has been beaten that ran in it. So, I mean, you have a field of 15, 16, say, running the champion bumper, but there are 400 or 500 horses going novice hurdling every year, aren't there? And, it looks like, a lot of the better ones weren't running in the champion bumper last year. It's that simple. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to take Facile Vega on. I will say that the ground has obviously come in his favour, because the softer the better, I think. It was obviously brutal conditions at Cheltenham last year when he won. But by the same token, he is just too short for me. And like Tom, I do think Il Était Temps is the one to beat. But with the bookies offering extra place, I always get sucked in the back in bigger prices. And I have a feeling this is a race where we can get something out of it. So I've backed a couple. I've backed Rare Edition. I'm actually on him at a terrible price, having backed him just after Christmas, after he won that race at Kempton, but he then got beat in the Sydney Banks. But he apparently was quite sick afterwards. He had a bad scope, and then he got quite ill, and he had some muscle issues as well, by all accounts. And he's reported, all ready to go now, and he's still 20 odd to 1. And of course, he absolutely hammered that Roubaud at Kempton. Roubaud's since come out and won the Grade 2 Dovecote, so that makes the form look pretty strong, and he won that race very easily. So I think he's quite a high class horse. And the other one I came round to rather late in the day is Dr. Bravo, trained by Gordon Elliott, who said he's turned inside out since he ran at Gowan. And when he ran at Gowan, it was in a Grade 3 open company. He was beaten only a length and a half by Fidor and Sharjah. Sharjah, who's been well backed, he's a dual champion hurdle runner-up. He's been well backed for the county hurdle this week. So and this is a horse that only made his racecourse debut in December as well. So hopefully I've got 2 to go against the field. But I'm gonna be playing exactas and trifectas with a lot of outsiders in this race, and I hope I can chop it right off.
Okay, there we go. Strong words then, yeah, for the Supreme Novices Hurdle. Like I said, if you disagree, you think Facile Vega is the one. He's out to 11-4 on the price boost, but like I said, there's plenty of options against him. UK options, of course, more than we were expecting, Tom. If I'm honest, I thought Timoris was the clear leader. Can we have a quick word on Timoris, who of course won the Tolworth at Sandown, and that race is starting to work out well. And I think a lot of people at the time said that he just handled the conditions the best, but connections have come out and said that he actually probably hated every second of it and still won it well.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think he loved the conditions. I don't think any horse really likes conditions like they get at Sandown. Now, I hope it doesn't get too soft for him. I think his jumping was worse at Sandown than it had been the time before. But we do know he handles it, and we do know he stays. So he's riding there too. I think In the Pocket comes into it as I mentioned before, because he's a strong stayer. There's loads. Keels is right. I mean, with the places they are offering, you can have a stab at a couple of big prices, especially with Facile Vega being so short in the market, as we've pointed out. I think Diverge is an interesting horse. He was rated 90. He beat some. He ran behind Bubble Gift and Sundoro, some proper group horses on the flat. Wasn't beaten far. Won by miles. Good time at Punchestown. He could come into it if the ground's not too bad. as you say, there's loads in there, and I wouldn't rule out a British winner of this at all. I think Tamuras, rare edition, have perfectly reasonable form chances.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll win, but I thought Strong Leader might outrun his odds as well. The Aintree might be more his bag, and you've got Dark Raven, of course, who beat Dr. Bravo and ran quite well. It was maiden hurdle to Grade 1 company last time out, and he ran a cracker finish in third in the pocket. Obviously, clearly a bit of a strong stayer, and it looks an absolutely cracking Supreme. David, sorry, Tom.
Sorry, Rob, you haven't mentioned Chasing Fire either. I mean, Murphy had a second and a third in this race, didn't he, not long ago? Behind, was it Classical Dream? I think he saddled the second and third in the race. He's running 2 again. Chasing Fire's unbeaten. Don't know how good he is. He could go well as well at a big price. So it's wide open for me.
Yeah, of course, Thomas Darby and Itchy Feet with the second and third, which again proves you need to stay to get involved in a decent Supreme, and it should be going a good lick. But David, talk to us about how the market's been reacting, extra place terms, price boost, whatever you've got for this opener.
Yeah, well, 4 places each way, as the boys have said, so there is that extra value there. Look, he's a favourite, as I say, that I think all bookmakers will be wanting to take on at the price he is now. But then it's the old one of the racing cliches, isn't it? You always forgive a horse one bad run, but we've got to forgive him a really bad run that day. And there were mixed sort of reviews. Willie Mullin said Paul Townend went off too fast. Paul Townend said there was more to it than that. I think the horse came back sore. Look, he's trained by a genius. He could go and win, but he has to be taken on given that last run. I like Tamuras. Thought the Tolworth hurdle form, as we've said, is working out really well. Interesting on the ground today. I mean, I spoke to a couple of trainers at Cheltenham, and I mean, the wind was blowing, absolutely howling, almost drying it as it was hitting the ground. So I think they're all fairly confident. It's not going to be terrible ground tomorrow. It's first day, obviously. It's not going to be cut up. So hopefully the ground will be all right for Tamuras. And Chasing Fire, just given Ollie Murphy's record in the race with big price outsiders, he's unbeaten, this horse. Again, it's a massive step up in class, but at the prices each way, they'd be the couple for me against his favourite that I think all bookmakers will want to take on tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Again, and everyone on the chat is in complete disagreement, as you would expect. Sharp Fitness looks Strong Leader, 33-1. Quayside says Segal knows. Viva La Vega says Ed, and Tony McDonough says Facile Vega first, Marine National second. I assume it means in the race, not necessarily in the market, although that would be true as well. Tom, your Supreme angle.
Well, I just thought Ilete Tom at around 5-1. I see he's 9-2 now. Was a perfectly decent bet, just because I think he's got the best form.
Okay, Keels.
Yeah, couple of outsiders for me. Rare edition, Dr. Bravo.
Okay, and David.
Tamuras each way.
Okay, Tamuras each way. Yeah, and I'll play Ilete Tom at the top of the betting. I do think Dark Raven could outrun its odds for the Mullins team as well. Speaking of the Mullins and Munier combination, El Fabiolo is 11:08 favourite for the second race on the card. The Arkle Trophy, of course, is incredibly competitive novice chase over just shy of 2 miles. 11:08 El Fabiolo, 13:8 John Bon Saint Roi is 7-1. Dysart Dynamo is 7-1. Then there's a big jump out to Hollow Games at 28. Hador is 50. Strawfan Jack 66. And Effenock Fizz at 125-1 with Bally Breeze involved in there as well, Keel. So we're going to have 2 completely different races here. We've got a 0-140 handicap down the bottom, and then we've got a couple of highly talented hurdlers who've all performed to a high level over fences, but the market for pretty much the whole season has been saying it's a straight match.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I've had an idea for the last couple of months that Dysart Dynamo will get a lot closer to them because he clearly went off too fast at Leopardstown, and Leopardstown's a big galloping test, only 11 fences, but 2 mile, 1 furlong, whereas at Cheltenham there's 13 fences and slightly less than 2 mile. And I think that gives him a chance, although, I very, very shrewdly backed him each way at 5-1, thinking there's a guarantee to be no more than 5 runners in the race. And now we got 9, and he's 2 points longer at least, and is drifting as we speak. So not the shrewdest, but I'm going to go in again. I still think he's got a massive chance. I think El Fabiolo would see off John Bon. I do think he's the horse with the better form at the moment. There's a little issue about him jumping. I would definitely admit that. He got in very close to 2 at Leopardstown and then belted. I think it was the 4th last. And John Bon was reported to be very fat at Warwick last time, and there was probably a little bit too much made over the way he struggled. So they're both very, very good horses, obviously. But I'm hoping Dysart Dynamo can just not go too mad too soon. It might be hoping against hope, because he is a very enthusiastic horse. But I mean, if they can hold onto him a little bit round here, he might be hard to catch.
Okay, yeah, Dysart Dynamo has been pretty weak in the market. He's at 7-1 now for this Arkle trophy. But Tom, the more I tried to take on these top two, I did kind of struggle. I can see the Dysart Dynamo angle. He's clearly a hugely talented horse, but it wouldn't be the first time I fancied a horse with this profile to capitulate at the bottom of the hill in the Arkle. And it's interesting. You've got the top two in the betting. There's your footpads and Duvans versus your Shishkins and Altiors. It's a proper Mullins-Henderson matchup.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this the other night, Ross, where you have your preconceived ideas and then you come to it on the day, have a look at the videos and stuff, and your perception changes a bit. And that's what happened with me, actually. I watched the video of John Bon last time at Warwick, and I really didn't like it. I was surprised how much I didn't like it. At the time, I wasn't overly perturbed about it, and I thought, it was okay. He did all right. He got kamikazed by Harry Skelton, and it just looked a bit laboured to me. I think he needs a lot further than 2 miles now. I think he's going to end up running over 3 miles. That doesn't preclude him from winning the Arkle by any means. Lots of horses have run well in the Arkle that have gone on to be 3 milers. But I just didn't like it. I wanted to take him on just today. That's the way I felt. El Fabiolo is undoubtedly the most likely winner, but he can smash one as well. Very inexperienced horse, isn't he? Never been to Cheltenham. 11:08, plenty short enough for me. Dysart Dynamo's got to finish his race. I get what Keels has said. I'm like Keels. I've been on him for many. I think he's a brilliant jumper, and I was on him after his debut at shorter price than he is now. But in just at the last minute, I came around to saying Moi, simply because on his Cheltenham form. He's run twice at Cheltenham. He's won the county hurdle on the bridle. He's been third in a champion hurdle. I don't think any of those could do that. I really don't. And I just think when I watched the run last time, he was a bit far behind, but he didn't make a mistake. And Mark Walsh, I don't know whether something happened with the tack, but he just fell off after the fifth. And then he was 20 lengths in front of them after, I know he was running loose, but he was 20 lengths in front of the horses at the line. I just think he's a really, really classy horse that is going to get the pace set up to suit. And I could just see him going well at the prices. I thought he might be the one to take advantage if there is a strong pace. I like Keels. Originally, I'm on Dysart Dynamo, and I hope he can be a little bit more circumspect at the start and get home. But I'm not overly convinced by the top two, having watched them again today. And I thought at the prices we might be able to get them beat. So I'm hoping it's Samoa or Dysart Dynamo. I'm just edging towards Samoa now.
I mean, you've got both your bases covered there, haven't you, Tom? You've got one who's going to be played very late and one who's going to blast off in front. So you've got... I
also thought it was significant that he came here, Samoa. If you've got John Bon in it, and you've got El Fabiolo and you've got Dysart Dynamo, the owner and the trainer are still running Samoa, even though he could have gone to the handicap. He was entered in the handicap. He was favourite for the handicap, and they've decided to come here. I don't know. I just thought that was a little bit of a tip of the hat to suggest that they think he's going to run well, and I agree with them. I think he's got a lot going for him.
Okay, yeah, he's similar-ish to Edward Stone in the sense that he's been running at that slightly older, tougher company, isn't he? He's a 7-1 shot here, and El Fabiolo 11:08. Yeah, he looks an absolute cracker. A few stats for you, but 3 horses rated 160 plus 6-year-olds have come to this race and all have won Footpad, Duvan and Sprinter Sacra. So El Fabiolo off 2 runs to get that sort of rating must have done something pretty spectacular at Leopardstown, but he has to back it up. David, what's the offer here in the Arkle, or the opinion that you've got to throw into the mix?
Yeah, well, the betting has spoken in favour of El Fabiolo literally in the last couple of hours. They've been joint favourites, but John Bon had been favourite, but now El Fabiolo is clear favourite. I thought that last point Tom made is possibly the most interesting about, JP McManus has got the favourite, but he's also running St. Ra when he had plenty of other options. That's a really interesting point. St. Ra has been backed, no doubt, as a result of Tom putting it up. But Dysart Dynamo is going to go off like that. It's his only way of running, isn't it? And I just can't see him getting up the hill like that. I thought John Bon's performance last time was fine. Calico's come out and won since. But Al Fabiolo won arguably, well, not arguably, the best novice chase of the season. I think it's a really good race. This is all my way of saying I haven't got a clue. And Tom saying what he has about Saint Ouen has merely muddied the waters further. We have a price boost, though. It is the top two in the betting. Reverse forecast. So obviously first and second either order was 11-8, is now 7-4. If you do think the big two will dominate, and I do think that's the problem with backing something each way, is you've got to hope that both the big two, to get the win part of the bet, you've got to hope both the big two blow out, and I'm just not sure they will.
Yeah, fair enough. And most people at home don't think so either. Amit Singh says if El Fabiolo jumps soundly, no horse can beat him in this bunch. Hakuna Matata says John Bond should be running in the King George at Kempton, but Henderson does have a tendency to win 2-mile championship races around Cheltenham with horses with guaranteed stamina and careers over further, so it can be done. But Tom, how are you playing it?
Well, I'm originally I'm on Dysart Dynamo from a few months ago, but I took 6-1 and now he's 7s. Well done. And I think Saint Ouen is the play now.
Okay, Keels.
I'm keeping the faith with Dysart Dynamo, but I think El Fabiolo is the most likely winner out of the top two.
Okay, there we go. David, you haven't got a clue. Was that the?
No, the price is now. I just think John Bond's the better jumper of the front two in the market. I'd be on John Bond now.
Okay, lovely stuff. Moving on then to the Ultima, the 250, 3-mile, 1 furlong handicap chase here, with 23 of them going to post, and returning for another crack at the race is Korak Rambler, who came from God knows where to score last year. He's 6-1 ahead of Into Overdrive, who cannot stop winning at 7s. Monbeg Genius has been well supported over the past few hours. He's 8-1 with Fast or Slow for a proper Cheltenham trainer. 9-1 Nassalam's got course form around here. Oscar Elite as well at 11s. Happy Go Lucky has been a little bit unlucky with his career over the past couple of seasons. He's 14s. 3 under through 5 is 16-1, and then it is bigger prices the rest. But as I said, there are 23 of them here going to post. And numerically, I should be going to you, Tom, first, but a 23-runner handicap chase round Cheltenham is definitely Keels' bag. So I'm sure you're going to have something up your sleeve here, Keels. This is a race that traditionally the Irish have very little chance in, but they seem to have a few live chances this year, but it's still the British runners dominating the betting.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to have a few live chances last year as well, and I fell for them and they came nowhere. So I'm going back to what you should normally do in this race and stick with the British, because they win it nearly all the time. Obviously, really respect the chances of Korak Rambler, last year's winner. Plenty of horses run well in this race before, but I've come up with two. I've liked Nassalam for a while. He's running 2.5 mile races at Cheltenham so far this season, finishing 6th in the Paddy Power, 3rd on New Year's Day. Both times finishing really strongly. I think he's been crying out for a step up in trip. Connections obviously do as well. They didn't even bother entering him in the 2.5 mile race. So hopefully he will bring out a little bit more. He can race up with the pace. He can race off it. I think he's got a good chance. And another one I came round to is Cloudy Glen, last season's Coral Gold Cup winner at Newbury. Late out this year, finished 3rd in the Grand National Trial. Obviously couldn't go up for that, whatever happened if he was going to win with regard to weights for the National. But he got left on the same mark, and I thought he had everything in trouble turning for home. Just didn't quite see it out. Probably got tired on his first run for ages. Now, he has gone well fresh in the past and hasn't always backed it up afterwards, but never used to be the case. So I'm not going to worry too much. And as he ran as though he needed it, I think he might go well here. He was 2nd in the Kim Muir from off the pace a couple of years ago, but he's made the running as well. He's very versatile. So I see him running well. And there's one that I'm going to have a stab at. I'm going to throw a couple of quid at a massive price. The Wolf, who's a bit of an old hound, but if he jumps, he's a very, very well handicapped horse. He's a fair bit lower than 2 runs on this track when he's finished 2nd in decent handicaps, and he stays really well. Now he probably will jump his way out of it by jumping badly. Which is what he did a couple of starts ago here, but he has got plenty of ability to be running off 130. But the main two are Nassalam and Cloudy Glen.
Okay, Nassalam and Cloudy Glen, and even a pun from Keels with the Wolf as well. The wonders never cease. From a wolf to a seagull, Tom, for the Ultima here. What did you have up your sleeve for this handicap chase?
Well, if you keep doing those dodgy tweets, Ross, we'll have Keels in doing the puns before in a minute, rather than you.
Let's just have Keels present, pundit, and do the prices as well. Why not? I mean, he does everything else, doesn't he?
And he got corals in there. Did you see that? That was like awesome.
I finally learned how to play the game.
Yeah, that's it. It's the studio lights. They normally distract him.
Taking him 5 years, but he's finally got there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought I was being really clever because, I thought, I like one in this, Monbeg Genius, and I thought, he's a bigger price. I had three. I had a short list of three. It was Nassalam, Fast or Slow, and Monbeg Genius. And when I started looking at it yesterday, Monbeg Genius was double the price of Nassalam and double the price of Fast or Slow. So I thought, I'm being really sneaky. That's the one for me. And now he's short price than both of them. So, but that's the one I came down on. I do my trackers thing, and Monbeg Genius, I put him up twice in that. He's just a horse I got a lot of time for. He's unexposed. I like Novices in handicap chases at Cheltenham. John Joe's won it twice with Novices, actually. Holywell won it, and Wichita Lineman both won this race as Novices. I love the way he jumps. I love the way he stays. I think he's going to be even better when he gets to this trip. He's only been run over 3 miles at Chepstow. I think an extra furlong here will really suit him. Ground won't be an issue, but I'm hoping Mr. David Stevens, who I was listening on the radio this morning, was at John Joe O'Neill's yard or the boys were at John Joe. I don't know if he was there, but the boys were at John Joe O'Neill's yard, whether he got the nod to suggest that Monbeg Genius would go well.
I was there, Tom. I was fortunate enough to be there. Was up on the gallops watching our Coral Horse Heyday Baby 1. I did say to John Joe how he was feeling about the week, and look, I'm not breaking any confidence. I don't think that there's plenty of, or there's confidence behind Monbeg Genius, shall we say? Not plenty, because as John Joe will tell you, it's very, very difficult to win at the Cheltenham Festival. But there is confidence, and that's been reflected in the market.
Good. That's what we wanted to hear. Yeah, I like Monbeg Genius. Fast or Slow, obviously, last year ran second in the Coral Cup. Only had 3 runs. He's not a novice, but he's actually the least experienced horse in the race, actually, because he's only had 3 runs. One of them was in France over fences. Looked really good. He jumped impeccably when he ran against none other than Galanspin des Champs on his debut. In the John Durkin, was it? Whatever. And he jumped really well. He was really fast and slick. So if he stays the trip, he'll go well. I get Nassalam entirely. I went back after Keels mentioned him to me a few weeks ago, and I had a look at him running the 2 Cheltenham races, and he definitely crying out for 3 miles. He could take that big step up. Only a 6-year-old too. Plenty more improvement than him. I thought, along with Korak Rambler, those ones stood out. There are plenty of others that will get into it. And I do have a sneaky regard for Paul's The Wolf, who I think is well handicapped. I just wonder whether the ground's got a bit slow for him now. But for me, it's about Monbeg Genius. Very worried about Fast or Slow and Nassalam.
Okay, Monbeg Genius is an 8-1 shot then. I'm just going to throw a quick word for 3 under through 5 into the mix. Who, I mean, that novice chase where he battered Does He Know, who's obviously rated much higher and ran a blinder behind Zanza at Newbury the other day. Oscar Lee under supervision of Streets of Doyam, a rock solid performers, and he's got course form. And I thought he ran really well at Warwick last time out, Tom. He just didn't stay the trip, and I think this should be perfect for him. And that race has thrown up winners.
Yeah, working out very well, isn't it? I'm always very sceptical about marathon chases in the mud, but every horse that's running it keeps coming out and running well. So yes, he's just one of those that I feel he might have had his chance, whereas these other ones are up and comers. They've got more. I just think that there's more to come from them.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, this time last year he was 6th in the Brown Advisory, so he's running in Grade 1 novice company. It's only been 12 months.
Yeah, I get it. But it's my personal way of looking at this race is that I'm looking for something that is going to put £10 on there. RPI. He might still be able to do it. Not convinced, but if he runs to the level that he is now, that might be enough if these ones don't step up to that mark. See what I'm getting at? I'm just expecting one of them might improve past him.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I just thought he might have been off a bit more than he could chew in recent races. But the Ultima, David, one of the, in theory, an open goal for the home team in the Pressbury Cup. Yes,
indeed. Obviously, a record that the Irish have need to improve. 5 places each way in this race, which I think we're going to need. Personally, I've backed Coric Rambler. I'll give a word for Oscar Elite and the Big Breakaway. Actually sort of said to Joe, look, can you split them? And he said, I really can't. I mean, any more rain obviously wouldn't harm the Big Breakaway's chances. But this isn't just a prep for the Grand National. He's coming here to run a race. And Oscar Elite only £1 higher than when he finished 3rd in the race last year and arguably comes into better form, winning the Reynoldstown. And Monbeg Genius is the final one that I have had to add to my portfolio. And Mr. Segal is responsible for ruining the price.
And not for the first time either. But OK, so Keels, 2 against the field for the Ultima it was?
It was Nassalam and Cloudy Glen.
Lovely stuff. Tom?
I've backed Monbeg Genius and Coric Rambler have been the 2 I've backed. I undoubtedly will probably throw a few quid at whichever one of that fast or slow or Nassalam drifts the most tomorrow.
OK, I'll keep an eye on 3 under through 5. It's those odds for sure. And David?
Combinations of Coric Rambler, Oscar Elite and Monbeg Genius. And the Wolf is a 40 to 1 shot.
OK, lovely stuff. Thank you ever so much. And Chris Piper's going for fantastic gas at 33 to 1 into overdrive for Sharp Fitness. Look, and the Big Breakaway for Off Worlds. That's the Ultima then. If you are watching, by the way, on YouTube, don't forget, like the stream and also subscribe to the Racing Post channel. We've got plenty of stuff coming up for you this week, including, of course, potentially an all-time performance in the Champion Hurdle by last year's wildly impressive Supreme Novices winner Constitution Hill. 1 to 3 though, if you want to make some money off it. 130 State Man though for the Mullins battalions. Vauban is next in at 16 to 1, so it's an incredibly top-heavy market. 18 to 1, I like to move it. Zana here is 66, not so sleepy as 100s, and Jason the Militant, 2 years too late, is 150 to 1 for the Champion Hurdle then. Tom, where obviously I think we're all hoping for, if not a dominant performance from Constitution Hill. I think we're going to have a blinding battle between the first 2 in the betting. I was trying to... The only thing I want to do, Tom, is that everybody, for weeks and weeks and weeks, has said Constitution Hill just wins, Constitution Hill just wins. Is there a case against him, Tom? And I was struggling desperately to find one. The only thing I could find was it's very rare that a horse wins a novice race and then comes back the next year and wins a championship hurdle. Penhill, Foyne, Catchett, Isterbrack and Hardy Eustace are the only winners of Festival Novices since 1984 to come back and win a champion hurdle or a Stayers. That's all I can come up with.
Yeah, it's pretty flimsy, isn't it, Ross?
Yeah.
I mean, he was so brilliant. He was so brilliant last year. Look, I'm hoping. Listen, I think we need a brilliant horse, and I think everyone's going to go there hoping to see Constitution Hill win. I certainly am. I love him. I think he's been a breath of fresh air for racing, for jump racing in a year which hasn't gone so well, I don't think. One thing I would say, he's only run against one of those horses in that race, Not So Sleepy, when he ran in the Fighting Fifth, and he's 100 to 1 shot. So he is taking on a whole different set of form. Visuals, times, everything about him suggests he'll absolutely thrash this lot. But I wouldn't rule out State Man giving him a race. I do think State Man is a top-class hurdler, the best hurdler Constitution will ever run. Well, what will ever run against? Well, probably might be the best horse he'll ever run against. And I do think people have underestimated him. In another year, in the last 10 years, you'd have probably been favourite for most of the champion hurdles and probably win them as well, bar Annie Power probably. And so I think he has I don't think he has a shot at beating Constitution Hill, but I think he has a shot at giving him a race. Let's put it like that. Because I do think, any horse that's trained by Willie Mullins has won every race he's running that he's completed. He's won Grade 1s easily last time. I think he'll go well. I don't think he'll beat Constitution Hill. But I hope every great sporting icon needs another great horse against them. Ovit or Co, Hagler and Hearns. Hopefully, these two can get at it head, hammer and tongs down the home straight, and Constitution Hill hopefully will draw clear after the last. But I think it's a great race. Really looking forward to it. And I think State Man's underrated, but Constitution Hill will win.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and in the same way that State Man might bring out the best in Constitution Hill, Segal versus Kealy always brings out the best in our pundits. So That's an opening salvo from Segal, Keels. What did you make of this? And
Yeah, I'd say well done for attempting to build it up, but Constitution Hill's just going to win easily, isn't it?
cheers, mate. Thanks ever so much.
Keels, you were going so well. You did the wolf pun, you did the coral remembering, and now you've spoiled my build-up.
Yeah, I'm not. Can't have this being jazzed up. I think it's completely different class. Look, State Man has beaten a regressive Honeysuckle who's no longer considered good enough to run in the Champion Hurdle, and is even on the drift and not even favourite for the Mayor's Hurdle now. And Vauban, who won a Triumph last year, but even on his winning form in the Triumph, he needed to improve to £20 at least to become a proper champion hurdle horse, and he hasn't done that. So I think Constitution Hill's form is miles better. What's the betting on the winning distance, Mr. Stevens? Have you got some?
We certainly have, Kills. We've set it at 7 lengths or under, or over 7 lengths, 5 to 4. Take your pick. So, is he going to do it by more than?
Back both at 5 to 4.
5. Yeah, because he could lose, couldn't he?
It's like 7 to 1 or something.
No, because he could lose. He could lose, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Oh, I am. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, but he can't do. So take the overs. Take the overs. What a moron I am sometimes.
That's all right. Anyway, Keels, you think I'm going to get? What do you? I think there's a vacancy going for punditry. I don't know what you think of the Champion Hurdle. Any thoughts? Any opinions? It's a good one. I like it. Okay, yeah. He could lose, Keels. So this is. I know you say he's different class, but he is currently only rated £6 higher than State Man. They're both 6-year-olds. They're both unexposed.
He won't be after tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there you go. That is straight, not from the horse's mouth, actually, from Keels' mouth. The Champion Hurdle. Then let's have a quick shout out for the filthy anti-post each way wise guys approach on I Like to Move It, who will be plugging on for 4th, I imagine, given how those bets normally go. But he's unbeaten over course and distance as well. He recorded an incredible time in the Kingwell. He destroyed some half-decent horses there. And again, Keels, any normal year, you'd be thinking, if things go to plan, he might nick it, but...
Well, I backed him each way at 33 straight after the Wincanton race, and but in the win market, he'll probably be out to that again tomorrow, won't he? But I've also backed him without as well. The one question mark with him, of course, is very soft ground because he hasn't been on it very much. In fact, he's only run on it once. He won a bumper, but a bad one, twice, and then he got thumped by Marie's Rock when they couldn't find an excuse for him. It might have been the trip as much as anything else, but yeah, I think on his form, and Nigel Twiston-Davies' record is as good as the new one, who obviously went close and ran well in a couple of Champion Hurdles. So if he runs to that sort of level, he's going to be there or thereabouts, for the places.
Yeah, okay. David Stevens then. Keels can't see Constitution Hill losing, or has certainly forgotten that that's an option. What about you?
Yeah, I can't see him losing either. 3 to 1 on, probably better, worst bets around. I'm just looking at the betting without. I mean, State Man's 4 to 11 in the betting without, so we think it's pretty straightforward. Constitution Hill is going to beat State Man. I Like to Move It is 11 to 2 in the betting without. So really, yeah, it's all about, is he going to do it by more than 7 kills? You think yes? Tom, what do you think?
I don't think he'll win by 7 lengths. I think it'll be closer than people think. I think he'll win. I would go slightly under that myself. I don't. My point about State Man is I don't think we've seen anything like the best of him yet. You can only beat the horses you put in front of him. I don't think he's in Constitution Hill's class, but I think it'll give him a race.
And of course, this year, in theory, there might well be an Aintree and a Punchestown opposite for Constitution Hill as well. So I don't think they're going to want to, absolutely drive him up the hill using every ounce of his petrol, are they, if he's going to win the race?
Yeah, and I don't think we'll get the pace set up that we had in the other thing. I think, do you know what I mean? In last year's race, to make him look as good as he did, we won't. He's not beat around the bush. He's only been beaten a horse that's Epitome that's now running in the mares, and I think she's about 4 or 5 to 1 to win the mares, isn't she now? So
well, I mean that's a lovely tee up, Tom. Because
see what I did there.
Let's get on to the mare, shall we? I think because I've just looked at the time and we've still got 3 races to go, and I think we're all fairly in agreement on what's going to happen. But just to reiterate, Keels.
How far?
Fair enough. Tom?
Yeah, well, Constitution. I hope Constitution Hill wins. I think he will. I'm hoping there's a bit of a race on though.
Okay. And David, do you have a price boost before we get onto the mares?
Yes, we do. Very quickly. Biggest winning margin of the festival, 8-1 from 7-1. Constitution Hill, obviously, because as Kills knows, it won't get beat.
Okay, there you go. The 410 at Cheltenham tomorrow is the mares hurdle, which I tell you what, you'd have had a couple of cracking stayers hurdle candidates and a couple of fantastic champion hurdle candidates in this as well. But those races have lost, but this has definitely gained because it is a genuine Grade 1 lineup. Marie's Rock is 5-2, Honeysuckle is 7-2, Epatante is 5-1, Brandy Love is 11-2, 8-1 Love Envoy, 9-1 Echoes in Rain, 18-1 Queen's Brook, Theatre Glory is 22s, and She Wears It Well is also involved in there as well. And given that She Wears It Well comes into this off the back of a career best Grade 3 win and is trained by Willie Mullins and is the complete outsider, Keels, that tells you how good this race is.
Well, yeah, and it's a very strange market, isn't it? Because, you have all this non-runner, no bet, and you think, well, all these horses are far too short. But then Marie's Rock comes in here instead of going in the stayers. But the other day, there were 4 horses around 3 or 4 to 1. And one of them's into 9 to 4. One of them stayed the same. 2 of them have gone out to 7s. And one of the ones that was nowhere near 4 to 1 is now 9 to 2. So it's very strange. Brandy Love's been the one that for money. It was 8 to 1 earlier in the week. Almost twice the price as the likes of Epatante and Love Envoy. And is now much shorter than them. And the strange thing about Love Envoy is the ground is really coming in her favour with how much rain is going. But she's the one that's been on the drift. I don't really get that. She's only lost once in her life. That was on the fastest ground that she's probably ever run on, went second to Brandy Love after winning the Novice at this meeting last year. So I thought she was a very big price. You can obviously make solid cases for everybody. I wanted to back Marie's Rock for the stayers hurdles. You can understand why she's favourite. I think she's the one to beat because I think Honeysuckle is on the downgrade and not really worthy of an official rating that says she's the best horse in this race by a country mile. I'd be surprised if she shows that tomorrow. But it's Love Envoy for me because I can't really understand the drift.
Yeah, and I mean you've got a real split, haven't you, here, Kills? You've got your old timers, your genuine champion hurdlers, you're on the downgrade. You've got your Marie's Rock and your Queen's Brook who kind of set the standard from last year. But Marie's Rock, Black Tears, Roxana, Benny de Deux all won this as improving 7-year-olds, and that's your Brandy Love Envoy generation as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, I thought Brandy Love was obviously quite interesting, but she's lost a lot of interest from me just by how short she's become. And she obviously has that win over Love Envoy last season at Punchestown, but that was at one at the end of the season and 2 on quick ground. Sorry, that was Fairy House, not Punchestown. So yeah, it'd be Love Envoy for me. Marie's Rock is the one to beat.
Okay, Tom. Yeah, which generation are you with? The up-and-coming novices, the champion hurdlers on the downgrade, or those in the middle that set the standard?
Well, I'm against the 2 former champion hurdlers. Although, just sitting there looking at Epatante,
7-1.
She's becoming something of a ridiculous price. They worked together at Kempton the other day, Epatante and Marie's Rock, and Epatante absolutely cantered all over Marie's Rock. Now, I think people are banking on the thing that she won't get home over the trip, and it's very possible that she won't, but I wouldn't count on it. She didn't seem to be stopping at Aintree last year. I think Epatante's becoming a big price. Marie's Rock, I get entirely. Very good Cheltenham record form of that. She looked exceptional in the Rel Keel the other day. I'm against Honeysuckle. I just don't think she'll stay. Brandy Love does too much wrong, jumps, hood, all the sort of things I don't like about a horse she does. So I'm against her. Get her ability, undoubtedly get her ability. Can't quite understand the drifts on Love Envoy, Epatante and Echoes in Rain. I really can't. For me, in the paper tomorrow, I've tipped Love Envoy, like Keel said, simply because I think she's better this year than she was last year. I think she's gone through those 2 races at Sandown like the wrath of God. She's literally, been really, really impressive on both starts. I think she's going to love conditions. She loves track, only been beaten once. For me, she'll do think if I think Epatante's got to a price now where she's too big. And the same with Echoes in Rain. The thing about Echoes in Rain is I am worried about her staying under the conditions now because she she didn't really seem to get home last year. The one thing I would say is she's a different horse on the flat last season. So I think she could run well. But for me, at those prices, it will definitely be Love Envoi and Epatante.
Okay, Love Envoi is 7-1, Epatante is 7-1. I could give a Queen's Brook a shout out as well. She's the only one who just basically never ever runs poorly. She's been in the frame every single run. She finished second in this race last year, where she went for home a little bit too soon, I think, and Maurice Rock picked her off, and that Punchestown win last time out. I mean, Brandy Love looked, I know it was a return, but she looked awkward, and I don't know. I'm not sure why she's a 9-2 shot and Queen's Brook's an 18-1 shot. Whether she wins or not is another matter, but she should outrun those odds. So it's a cracking mare's hurdle. David Stevens, price boost, please.
Maurice Rock or Honeysuckle to win by over 3.5 lengths is 130 from 11 to 4. From a personal point of view, I backed Epatante at 5-1 when I thought Maurice Rock was going to go for the stayers. Maurice Rock is arguably a better mare than she was when she won this race last year. I thought the way she won the Ralke was good, but this is undoubtedly a deeper race. And as long as it isn't too testing come race time, I would have to go in again at Epatante at the price. She won the Grade 1 at Aintree over 2.5. Okay, this is an uphill finish, but I say if the ground isn't desperate, then Epatante for me is still a class act. And she's been beaten by Constitution Hill twice. I mean, that's as good as it gets on this side of the Irish Sea.
Okay, and there's a price boost for you. Maurice Rock or Honeysuckle to win by over 3.5 lengths. The main thing I'm taking from tonight's show is don't back anything anti-post. I'm not sure. Has anyone got a decent ticket in their pocket for day one?
No. I've got 14-1 rare edition. He's about 28's top price. Dice Like Dynamo at 5. No, definitely not. No.
Fair enough. Well, in that case,
I haven't. I've got Dice Like Dynamo, rare edition, high definition, Echoes in Rain. They're all bigger prices.
Yeah. Well.
Do we need a new name for this show? In the Know is not really fitting the bill, is it? Let's not ask the viewers for that suggestion.
It should never been called that view on it, should it anyway, Dave?
No. It's.
I don't think you can talk after your winning distance performance.
All right, guys. Look, if you're going to argue like that, you've got to come into the studio. It's only me and this lad over here who can talk to each other like that. Okay, right. We've got 2 more races to go for day one. Of the Cheltenham Festival. Moving on to the Juvenile Handicap Hurdle, the Fred Winter, where Takao is 3-1 favourite for Willie Mullins and JP McManus. Baita is 6-1, Bad is 8-1, Perseus Way is 9-1, 11-1 Sir Alan, Zan de Bad does not go, Punta del Este is 14s with Risk Bell, and then there's loads of others in there as well. Jazzy Matty and Metamorpheus out of that good race last time out. Samuel Spade for Ben Pauling, who's in good form. And Affadil, he was beaten heavily at Haydock last time out, but is surely better than that. But Tom, I'm going to come to you first for this one, because I don't know about you, but this is one of the horses in the week where I kind of looked at and I thought a handicapper wearing a hood at 3-1 in this kind of race, where for a mark of 135, where I think there's plenty in here that have got at least half a stone of improvement in them. I kind of want to take this favourite on.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you saw what happened last year with Gaelic Warrior. He couldn't get the job done, and I'm pretty sure he's a miles better horse than Takao. 3-1 is plenty short enough. He hasn't, I just want to see him finish. I want to see him hit the line. He hasn't done it in any of his starts, really. I think this race always goes towards something that stays very well. What I would say, though, is it does go often to horses that people think are exposed at the top of the weights. Aramax and Brazil, and lots of them are at the top of the weights, where people thinking, there's got to be something down the bottom that's got plenty in hand, you know what I mean, that's been kept back for the race. It does happen, but more often than not, it goes to the horse with decent form. So I like Perseus Way. I just thought that run at Kempton was really good. He was desperately unlucky. He got badly hampered when a horse fell in front of him. He then got racing a bit keenly because that horse sort of shook him up a bit. Still going to win at the last, and then bungled the last. Got beaten on the run-in by Nusret, but he was coming back again. He was giving Nusret £3. That was a grade 2. I just think he's got a lot going for him, Perseus Way. I think he's run well at Cheltenham before. He's just the type of horse I like for this race. He's tough. He's hard. He stays well. Got good form. I don't want to guess about all the others. I don't know whether Bad's is any good. I don't know whether Punta del Este is any good. I just don't. They might be, but at the moment I don't. So I always prefer going for horses with form. I've done pretty well in the race over the years going that way, and so I'm sticking with Perseus Way.
Okay.
For me, for Gary Moore.
9-1 then Perseus Way. Yeah, and I do. When I said I want to take account, it's more that there are a few who've shown the form, and I still think have more to come. The race, that Nace race won by Sir Alan last time out, has thrown up. Is it 3 of the last 4 Fred Winters have been won by the horse who won that race? And it's a Nace Novice Hurdle in the middle of February. And I was really impressed with the way Sir Alan came back and battled to beat Morning Soldier. I know people are going to say the form might get turned around and this, that and the other, but he gave Blood Destiny a bit of not a fright, but was the only one to come out of the pack. He comfortably won at Punchestown in bad ground as well. And I love the way he just kept grinding to the line at Nace last time out. So I thought Sir Alan had a cracking chance here at 11-1. Keels, what was on your list?
Quite a few from that race actually. I thought you could make cases for him. Obviously, Sir Alan was written by a good £7 claimer that day, so he's essentially £7 worse off with a lot of them, plus whatever the handicapper has done. So it's not that straightforward. But I backed the 2 that Tom mentioned. I backed Bad a few weeks ago. I just thought I'd take a chance because he has that similar profile to Gaelic Warrior last year. In fact, he was actually. In France, his rating in France was exactly the same as Gaelic Warriors, and he comes in off a £3 lower mark than Gaelic Warrior ran off. Obviously, he's joined. He didn't join Rich Ritchie and Willie Mullins, but Ben Paulins had a winner in 3 of the last 6 festivals, and he seems to think that he's well handicapped. Whether he's any value now at 8, I'm not so sure. So I sort of jumped off, and I've backed Punta del Este. He's won on heavy ground on his second start in France, and he had his first run for a couple of months. Just looked a bit rusty early doors at Haydock, made a couple of mistakes, but warmed to his task. Looked like he wanted a stronger test, but he's only beaten 4 lengths by Bo Zenith, who's dotted up in what was admittedly an egg and spoon race this afternoon, but is being prepared for the Grade 1 at Aintree. So I thought he might not be badly handicapped at all off a marker 126 as well.
Okay, yeah, a few against the field there, and not joining Willie Mullins might be a good thing in this terms of this race, because this is one of the few that he can't seem to really put together and win. He's never won this race, so it would be interesting to see if Bad can get Ben Pawley in the winners' enclosure, and he's having a cracking time. 6 winners in the past 2 weeks for that yard. What have you got, David, for the Fred Winter?
Yeah, 5 places each way. Sir Alan, you've already explained why. I agree with you on that one. And Bad, I was at a Cheltenham preview that Kills was on one of the many he's done where he made the case for Bad. And I thought the booking Rachel Blackmore is certainly no negative. Indeed, it's a big positive. So they'd be the 2 for me. Okay, a few against the field for the Fred Winter then. And the last race on day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival 2023 is a very different proposition indeed. It was the 4-miler, it's now the 3-mile sixer, otherwise known as the National Hunt Cup for the amateur jockeys, and Paddy Mullins and Willie Mullins teaming up with Gaillard de Maynil, who's now odds on at 10-11. Marla Mission 6-1, Manila Crooner 13-2, Mr. Coffee 9s, Chemical Energy 9s, 14-1 Tenzing and 20-1, and bigger the rest. We're just going to copy and paste what we've said at Keels about this race, where for weeks I've been looking at it and thinking if there's one horse I thought was going to win a race at Cheltenham, it's the favourite here. But he's now odds on, and he's got a lot of improvers against him. So how are you playing it against him?
I am. I put him up early in the season for a big jump-off pull-out, but as he got to such a short price, I mean, it's one of those, I don't like backing horses that don't win very often. And I know the argument that he's running a stack of Grade 1 races and, it could easily be different class, but there are some good and progressive horses here as well. And I was quite interested in Chemical Energy, won by a country mile here earlier in the season, but I think the ground might have probably gone against him. So I'm going for the other Gordon Elliott horse in the race, Manila Crooner. Who was Grade 1 placed over hurdles after in just 4 starts last year at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was second. And he comes here having shown, steady improvement. I think. Yeah, I think he ran well when second to Velvet, obviously, even though he was odds on last time. And he just looks like he's an out stayer, and he likes soft ground. And Connections managed to book Barry O'Neill for him, who was originally down for mile mission. So there must have been some persuading going on there. And obviously, he's one of the best around. That just made me interested. And surprisingly, thought we would get a small field again. Surprisingly, we've got enough for each way places down to 3. So he will do for me against the Jolly, who, I fully accept may well win.
Okay. Mr. Segal, what's your approach for the finale tomorrow?
It's probably to take the dog for a walk. It's probably what I'll be doing. But
it's a long walk.
Still be running when you get back.
Yeah.
But I thought, Galliard de Mainil's clearly the standout on form. It's another one of my specials here. I suggested Chemical Energy, I think at 8-1. He's now 9-1. The ground seems to have gone against him. I actually thought the other Willie Mullins horse, Tenzing, had a chance each way against the favourite. I just think he's a real grinder. If it turns into a war of attrition, I don't think there's a horse in the race more suited to it than Tenzing. He's run 3 times over fences. He was only beaten about a couple of lengths by Jerry Colombe on his first one. Then he chased home Ramillies, who's running in the Brown Advisory, in the next one staying on strongly. And then in the 10 up last time, he was behind Marla Mission. That was his worst effort, I thought. I was a little bit disappointed with him there because I thought he'd beat Marla Mission. But what he did do is, like he's done in all his races, is just stay and stay and stay. He looks to me like he's a national horse of the future. If it becomes a real war of attrition, I can see Tenzing being the biggest danger to Gaillard de Mainil.
Okay, Tenzing it is, who's a 14-1 shot for Willie Mullins. And David, see us out with the National Hunt Chase, please.
Tenzing surely has a mountain to climb here. Gaillard de Mainil, Tom mentioned a Grand National horse for the future. Well, Gaillard de Mainil could be Grand National favourite by the time this race is run. He's 16-1 currently. When we discussed this race last Monday, I did put in a word for Minella Crooner, and I've just checked. I've actually managed to back one at a bigger price than it is now. I'll stick with Minella Crooner. Hope he's crying out for the trip. But the final price boost of the evening involves Gaillard du Mesnil and Constitution Hill, both of them to win by over 5 lengths, as we can see there, 5-1 from 4-1.
Okay, Constitution Hill and Gaillard du Mesnil to both win by over 5 lengths. We'll get the naps in a second to see at the evening show, but here's a bit of info about how you can get some offers through the Racing Post app. There we go. Get involved on that then. Do, like I said, subscribe to that YouTube channel if you haven't already, because we're here all week. But hopefully we can get off to a flyer with the naps on day 1. Starting off with Tom Segal, best bet for the opening day.
Well, I hope I'm not going to do a pun. I got your pun, David Stevens. Don't worry if no one else did the Tenzing one. But Perseus Way. Perseus Way is my best bet on the first day in the Boodles.
All right. I really thought you were going to say Tenzing was the one to bet. But Keels.
That's terrible.
What's the nap, my good man?
I'm still surprised I managed to get it, to be fair, the way I've gone through the day today. But I will go Nassalam in the Ultima.
Nassalam in the Ultima. David Stevens, what is it for you?
Despite having about 17 bets in the race, I'll go Monbeg Genius in the Ultima.
Okay, Monbeg Genius in the Ultima, fair enough. And I don't particularly fancy anything on day 1, and the key is to not really do the spuds. So Gaillard de Mainil to jump around and beat a whole host of Grade 3 animals in the finale. But there'll be much more to get excited about day 2. We'll be back 6:30 tomorrow night, of course. And we've got morning shows, afternoon shows, evening shows. Keels has even said he wakes up 3 or 4 a.m. every night, Keels. You might do a live stream on your own if you're lucky.
I've had 2 kips this afternoon, by the way. I'm in good shape.
There you go. You might sleep through the night. I very much doubt it. But good luck to everyone at home. We'll see you for tomorrow and day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival. We're almost there.